secret of this extraordinary disclosure, this tanazzul, this unimaginable mixture of the infinite and the finite comes down upon your heart, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, upon your heart alone. This is the mystery of the ruh. We can't imagine what that is. For us, this is just words. It sounds interesting. What it means for the infinity of Allah's speech, for that great weight to descend upon a human heart, we cannot imagine. We cannot imagine what it was for him to see the angel, to be grabbed and squeezed by the angel in Ghar Hira. We cannot imagine the extraordinary power of the presence of the divine. But this was his maqam, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the chosen vessel for the eternal word. So when we make i'tisam, when we hold fast to this ruh, we are participating in this extraordinary isma that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to the best of his creation. In some tiny degree, we follow 1/1,000,000th of the sunnah and we feel so pleased with ourselves, we will receive some tiny share of that isma. To the extent that we put on the suit of armor that is the sunnah of the chosen one, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we will have some share in the secret of Wallahu ya'simuka minan nas. Allah protects you from people. To the extent that we decide not to bother, and that we go out into the world and we don't wear the suit of armor that day, and we're lazy about our prayers, we're lazy about our tahara, we're lazy about our tongues and our thoughts about others, and we're just lazy following this thing that we think is so great, which is the self, preferring that to the commands of Rabbil Alameen. To the extent that we leave the suit of armor at home, well, it's like taking a chance on the roads. You go out on the streets here, and you're riding your motor scooter, and you decide that you're not going to bother with your helmet. Maybe Allah's qadr is that you'll be safe, but if you were smart, you'll be wearing it. So to the extent that we make i'tisam, that we hold on to this extraordinary force, we will be protected. And this is an age in which the shayateen are openly walking the streets, and the awliya have been given something from which we have been protected in a strange way, because they can see things that we cannot see. They can see the darknesses that are now abroad, the arrogant forces that are now proclaiming themselves and that are now enthroning themselves in the souls of Bani Adam. This is an age in which there are many shadows and very few lights, in which everybody is obsessed by dark things, by turbulent things, by ugly things, when art is a celebration of ugliness, when music sounds like madness, when everybody is enraged, and yet this is what we are fascinated by. And the number of people who are attracted to the light, where it can still shine, where it still appears, is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. But we need to give ourselves a chance. We need to put ourselves in a place where that light is likely to shine. And the only way that remains to humanity, to the billions of Bani Adam who walk this earth at the moment, and to the jinn who walk this earth at the moment, is al-i'tisam bi sunnati al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There is no other way. There is no other way. And those who do it, and those who turn away from the stupid fashions of the age, and the egotism of the age, and the darkness of the age, and the unhappiness of the age, and hold on to this most unfashionable, most unpopular thing, he is the one who has held on to the firmest handhold. He has held on to the firmest handhold which shall never break. Now this is the way of the Muslims. Why is it, we sometimes ask, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the particular architecture of the Sharia as the appropriate religious response to the trials of this age? The ulama say, and the ulama of Tariq say, that in earlier ages, earlier Shari'as were simple. The Sharia of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam was simple. As history progresses, the laws become more complex and the forms of life to which we adhere have to become more detailed. And why is that? Because we need them more. There was a time when everything was simple, when there was just human beings and the tent and the desert or the forest and the sea, and everything was simple, and everybody had so much time. They had time to think about good and evil, they had time to reflect, they had time to work out their problems, they had time for their marriages, they had time for their children, they had time to care for the old people, they had time for the masjid. There was a time when there was time. But as things move on, as there is less barakah in waqt, everybody's rushing, everybody's racing. They want things to be fast. They want fast holidays, they want fast food. There's no barakah in people's waqt. They're promised so much, but they have less and less time in which to enjoy the things that they're promised. And so they're always stressed out, rushing for the next opportunity to spend money that they're wasting their lives saving up. And as a result, everybody is panicking, everybody is stressed out, everybody is finding therapists of one kind or another, and the whole system which promises happiness is promising stress. Instead of feeling comfortable and secure because we have such wonderful healthcare and there are no wars, instead we're constantly agitated. Agitated about things that never used to trouble us. Agitated about status, for instance. Psychologists are always talking about status anxiety nowadays. One of the most common reasons in my country where people go to see counsellors is because of status anxiety. In other words, they think, I'm now 35 years old. Other people I see who are 35 years old have cars like this, houses like that, wives like this, send their children to schools like that, and I haven't achieved that, so they get sad. Now they may have incredible things compared to what, say, their grandparents or great-grandparents have, but they're not happy with those things at all. Why? Because those things are themselves just things. Things of dunya, things that will pass away. What is important in those things to them is not what they are in themselves, but whether they are keeping up with the march of time and getting what other people in their world also have. In other words, hasad is eating away their happiness. They're envious and they're anxious. And this is one of the madakhil, one of the points of entrance that the shaitan has into the human soul. Somebody works overtime, doesn't see his family in the evening for a year. Why? Because he really thinks that at the age of 40, in a particular company, he should be driving a Porsche four-wheel drive, for instance. That's all he thinks about. That's all he dreams about. His friend has got one, he has to have one. Porsche four-wheel drive, when he gets it, adds to his anxieties. He's worried about the security system. He's worried about leaving it in the car park. Has it got scratched? Will he always get the spare parts? And it gets older, so he needs another one. But the car is still a car. It doesn't get through the traffic jam any faster than any other car. As a car, it's a car. It gets from A to B the same speed as other cars. But he spent a whole year losing time, agitating himself, cultivating heart disease and who knows what else for something that doesn't benefit him. Why? Because of the status anxiety. And most of what energizes people in the modern world is precisely that. It's not the quest for happiness, it's a quest to keep abreast of everybody else. And progress is simply an endless competition between people who already have everything that human beings need to keep them happy. You could see probably in about the year 1920, on the agenda of progress, that was when people had basically what human beings need to make them as happy as they need to be. The basic things of human life were present at that time. Everything since then has been the chasing of things that simply add to their anxieties. What a waste of time. And at the end of people's lives, when they look back on it all, they think, that went by very quickly. I haven't got much left. They're sick, the doctor has given them the bad news. They're looking back on it all, and they don't think, I wish I'd bought another car like that. They never think that. They think, I wish I'd spent more time with my children. I wish I'd been more considerate to my wife. I wish I'd visited my parents more often before they died. I wish I'd visited that relative who was living in Sabah or somewhere and I never bothered to go and see them. I wish I'd done those things. And the thing they most wished was that I wish I'd made tawbah properly and actually got my prayers right. I wish I'd studied fiqh when I was young so that I could be sure for the rest of my life when I did my wudu, I was actually doing it right. I wish, but by that time it's pretty late. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful. يُقْبَلُ تَوْبَةُ الْمَرْءِ مَا لَمْ يُغَرْغِرْ. The penitence is accepted until he gives the death rattle. That's Allah's generosity. All of that can be wiped out, but what a tragic way to spend one's declining years.